It's not simply a dispute on the internet tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It contains a confession. A surprise nobody saw coming. Not even the most outspoken critics of the Harris family. King Harris, the child of rap mogul T, has come out of the rumors and into the fire. Yes, acknowledging his sexual orientation. And the timing, oh, this was not something you could have planned, caused viral chaos. Hollywood. Following the publication of a jailhouse video showing him in a situation that has already sparked social media outrage, King himself makes the startling admission that totally turns the conversation upside down. However, I have a query for you. What does it imply when the bad boy of hip-hop royalty takes responsibility for the problem after being caught? Is this bravery? Is it arrogance? Or is it the most effective way to reclaim control of a story that is sliding out of his hands? How about his father? T, the King of the South, the self-proclaimed protector of his family's honor. What steps does a well-known and inherited man take to get the one headline that money, music, or power cannot take away? Stay right here because this is more than just a rumor. It's a dynasty on fire. There has always been news about the Harrises. They built an empire on fame, fortune, and a carefully maintained facade of success through reality shows and platinum songs. But that picture has always been associated with a name that doesn't quite fit the description. Harris King is the son of rapper T and well-known vocalist Tiny. More than his music or business, King's name was built on chaos, arrests, bites, and viral meltdowns. Name it. King has been at the center of everything. He thrived in disobedience, contributing to the blogosphere with every thoughtless deed. But even his harshest critics were caught off guard by what transpired next. Audio from a jailhouse and a confession that shook the internet. Like most scandals, it began with a conflict that still occurs today. A flurry of speculation, a few fuzzy images, some grainy recordings, and silent online muttering. Social media investigators claim that the video showed King in a precarious position, with one of his purported pals behind bars. At first, fans rejected it. After all, King was accustomed to gossip. But after that, the movies started to spread. More swiftly, were examined frame by frame in several forums, and soon the rumors were included in prominent headlines. When King Harris's homosexual son was caught on video while he was in prison, the news quickly went viral, and by the time mainstream websites caught up, it was the most talked about topic online. But this is the unanticipated development. Instead of denying the accusations or attacking the bloggers as he usually does, King did the unthinkable. He made the statement in an Instagram feed that has amassed millions of views. He continued, looking straight into the camera. "Y'all keep talking like it's some secret," he said. "Yes, I am homosexual, and I am who I am." Like that. What the heck? With only one remark, he changed the course of the controversy. Reversed. The internet went crazy over an open declaration rather than a humiliating leak. Reactions came in waves. Some praised his candor, calling it a brave move in a business notorious for toxic machismo and homophobia. He was ridiculed by others, who mentioned his name. Hashtags, saying that because of the video, he had no choice but to recognize it. But perhaps the most noticeable voice missing from the conversation was that of his father, T. For a man who had developed a reputation as the tough, protective father figure, silence was deafening. Supporters waited for him to defend himself, his child to cope with the illness. Instead, all they heard were rumors of conflicts that happened behind closed doors and whispers of worry. In the Harris residence, and reports that Tay was completely ruined. Insiders painted a dismal picture. According to references, Tay had violated this in his early court hearings. He was reportedly furious, not because King was gay, but rather because the confession was made during a prison video incident that tarnished not only King's image, but the whole family's history. For T, this was more than just a personal matter. Public humiliation peaked at this point. Websites that had formerly praised his empire were now dismantling it piece by piece, and his industry rivals were sensing blood. King, on the other hand, intensified. He wasn't hiding, wasn't backing down, wasn't apologizing. Rather, he sent cryptic posts like, "Don't hurt me, truth." Leaning into the chaos. It hurts. For his supporters, it was either reckless arrogance or legendary resistance. "You can't cancel me if I've already canceled myself," he said. Regardless, the clicking went on, and each post, live feed, and rumor fueled the fire. And as the heat grew, so did the stakes. The confession was no longer just about sexuality. It became a referendum on family, fame, and the cost of living under constant scrutiny. Is King's bold move a sign of courage? Would it be viewed as a scandal that permanently damaged his father's reputation? It was still dark in the world, but one thing was certain. The narrative did not stop there. Since the moment the dust settled, other leaks started to surface after King's shocking statement. Additional pictures, audio snippets, and clues that something more than the cassette was hiding in the shadows. What would happen if the rumors were true? What the world had just witnessed was not the finale. The Harris family's most tragic chapter has only barely begun. And just when everyone thought things couldn't get much messier, the so-called investigative report started. Entering. Fake insiders, anonymous jail sources, and even some TikTok experts suddenly occupied the front row. Examine King Harris's purported double life. King apparently boasted about his compromising connection with his pal within the cell block, telling others that genuine men don't hide their identities, according to a rumored piece that has been going viral. Did he really say that? Social media isn't waiting for approval, but nobody knows. They provide the utmost reality to a single statement or whisper. Overnight, fans started snapping images of fake direct messages that appeared to be from other inmates. Bring told us straight out that he is into guys and doesn't care if people see it, one of the alleged messages said. I'm no longer embarrassed, he remarked. Them. Whether it is real or not doesn't really matter. Already the damage was done. People's feelings were all over the internet, partly in shock and half in total disbelief. Some said they valued the purported confession, while others condemned him as the final stain on T's life. Story about parenting. The man could find no respite when it came to T. Days before, he had boasted on podcasts about his family's past and how his kids were destined for fame. Quick a few nights later, he was flooded with Twitter memes that made snarky comparisons between the Harris family's views and scandals. One meme even included T holding a microphone, but the caption was swiftly tainted. The internet destroys your whole family tree in 4K, and it doesn't just target you. And that's exactly what happened here. But jokes were not the end of it. Anonymous prison officials allegedly disclosed further details, claiming the supposed tape was more than a coincidence. It was deliberately videotaped by those inside who wished to capitalize on King Harris's notoriety. Think about it. A videotape is suddenly made public while a well-known family is already in hot water. The conspiracy theorists say it's not a coincidence. It serves as a precursor. They said that bloggers and other inmates who are in competition pay for the publication of this video. And what do you know? The internet ate up that idea and transformed it into a storyline fit for a Netflix documentary. Fake investigative stories began to surface online in the meanwhile. Popular headlines included King Harris, the reality he tried to hide, and exclusive, King Harris's secret double life. These were not even real articles. Did they use evidence that had been photoshopped to make blogs overnight? But many clicked, shared, and pondered. That's why scandals that go viral are so alluring. It appears more plausible the more absurd it sounds. Nowadays, it would be difficult to have a controversy without the participation of celebrities, of course. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion, whether they were strange rappers or washed-up reality stars. One rapper said, "Let King live his truth and stop acting shocked when the game has been tainted from the start." Tid has been crazy. Another, much more savage, said, "It's not surprising that it's him this time, but these takes only added fuel to the fire." The worst aspect is that some people started speculating about an already burning fire. Although it's absurd to believe that King was the driving force for the tape's release, they felt that the logic was clear-cut. He wanted to startle people, build his image via controversy, and eventually emerge from his father's shadow. For, let's be honest, King Harris was still struggling since he was mostly known as T's son. But he made headlines overnight. King may have just won his spot in the messy Hall of Fame, whether it was good or bad. But even if these theories are valid, attention is attention. Others began focusing on the effects on the family, and it quickly caught on. How was Tiny handling this situation? Consider yourself his siblings. Did the other Harris family members wake up feeling so ashamed that your brother was in the headlines? all around the world because of a jail recording controversy? In the family group chat, there were reportedly tense arguments, useless games, and even threats to cut King off entirely. Did the general people accept these claims even if they were probably false? Yes. And as this storm grew more intense, the question of whether King was truly accepting responsibility for his identity came into focus. Social media profits from these purported coming-out moments, despite its harshness. Videos of King's earlier interviews started making the rounds. People began to remark, "Oh, we should have," whenever he joked about relationships or incidents where he lost his temper with critics. Expected this. There were always the signs. Can you understand how damaging it may be to mark a public perception? Based on a single alleged tape, it could use a man's whole behavior as proof. Not to mention the army of memes, the internet's favorite battlefield. From remixing the alleged video into parody songs to placing King's face on rainbow flags with humorous slogans, people weren't willing to let this go anytime soon. Before long, others who didn't believe the story was real joined in on the chaos for the entertainment. The worst part is that once your dispute becomes a meme, it never goes away. But this is when the situation took a darker turn. There were claims of potential legal action. Rumor had claimed that King's lawyers were preparing to sue the individual who leaked the recording, referring to it as lawyers discussed the gravity of the accusations against revenge porn and defamation on TikTok. Others retorted that suing would just confirm the authenticity of the footage, but in any event, it put King in a challenging situation. You may either remain silent and let the rumors to overwhelm you, or you can defend yourself legally and risk verifying the story. Meanwhile, once T eventually broke his silence, or so some claimed, screenshots began to spread of a passionate letter allegedly sent by him that said, "I'm sad as a father. My son's choices do not represent the man I raised. This has brought shame on our family name, but we'll find the strength to leave." Was this item real? Hard to say. It seemed to be an apology from the Notes app, but it spread faster without an official source. Compared to wildfire, and by the time anyone questioned it, the damage had already been done. Whether accurate or not, it sparked a new round of online criticism, with some calling T a hypocrite for acting as the moral compass while considering his own past conflicts. Others were sympathetic, saying that no parent should ever have to go through this. The difference was stark. Everyone was watching, half of the world was mocking it, and the other half was showing sympathy. The circus. It was at this same moment that the debate changed from being about King Harris alone to being about the Harris family. Were they destined to be in the spotlight, or were they dogged by scandal? Was it all for the wrong reasons, or was this just another chapter in the never-ending tale of celebrity failure? The so-called confession had already gone too far, regardless of its sincerity. In an instant, King Harris went from being T's troublesome son to the center of one of the most embarrassing celebrity scandals in recent memory. YouTube channels, blogs, and gossip sites rushed to promote their own exclusive updates, each trying to outdo the other with more ludicrous claims. Some claimed King had been paid hush money to stay in the spotlight. Others adamantly pledged that he was getting ready for an open interview where he would rectify the record. Ironically, no one was interested in the truth anymore, and the deceit was simply too funny to be let to go on. However, despite the bustle on the internet, the results within the Harris home were supposedly terrible. Insider rumors claim that Tiny and T were unable to agree on how to handle the storm, and that Tiny was upset that T had allowed King's actions to get so out of control. T was also reportedly broken and pacing around in shock that his family's name was being pulled across the world stage once more. One purported source claims that T even broke down in tears, stating, "I have devoted my entire life to this heritage, and now I see it being destroyed." King Harris, meantime, found himself torn between two different points of view. On the one hand, a deluge of online ridicule apparently drowned him, leaving him feeling ashamed and humiliated. But he was also playing around with his newfound fame, according to whispers. Suddenly, everyone was talking about him, even those who didn't follow rap, cared about T, or ever heard of him. For someone who was attention-obsessed, this might have felt like distorted confirmation. But King was captivated by the story. The idea that he may finally stand alone, not as T's kid, but as the greatest controversy of the year, followed by the most bizarre development. Instagram posts had screenshots of King allegedly making a genuine coming-out speech saying, "I'm not hiding anymore. You cannot take away my authenticity. I love who I love." Whether he typed such words was irrelevant. To the web, it was no longer speculation. It was confirmed. Admission. Did this really happen? was no longer the question. Harris at last admits it to King. He was criticized right away, with some people applauding him for making it through, even under the most disgusting circumstances, his truth. He was brutally torn away by others who accused him of a single widely shared comment that embarrassed the entire family, who took immense pride in their status and authority. The statement read, "To wanted to raise a king, but eventually increased the signal for the Atlanta court." Cruel, heartless, but certainly contagious. As if everything wasn't already on fire, there were false allegations of legal action. Investigations went on. Tabloids claim that Fulton County is looking into the leak of the tape, stating that it is a criminal crime related to jail corruption. According to several lawyers on TikTok, if inmates were behind the leak, the institution may face legal repercussions. Others said that King's team was getting ready to turn the dispute into a weapon by claiming that it involves privacy violation and revenge porn. And the worst is yet to come. None of this was confirmed. It was just speculation. But facts are not as enticing as rumors. There was money involved, of course. According to bloggers, the footage was being sold about for six-figure deals. Entertainment reports claimed that adult sites had secretly offered to buy the exclusive rights. One account even claims that King himself considered taking over of the video and profiting from it before anybody else. Is it crazy? Naturally. But in today's cloud economy, nothing is startling anymore. Meanwhile, the streets had their own perspective. Discussions over whether King was really about that life, or if this was simply another incident in his never-ending string of reckless acts, broke out in barbershops, clubs, and online hood forums. This, according to some, proved his unstoppable downward spiral. Some laughed it off, saying King was just doing what everyone else does in private and got unlucky when the cameras began to film. The man was now a walking joke, nevertheless. Every well-known meme, joke, and skit has a name. Put a stamp on it. It wasn't comedy for T, though. The unraveling was this, of a dynasty he established over a long period of time. Don't think about it. T claimed to be the king of Atlanta rap for many years. He was a father figure and a magnate who tried to mold his kids into successors. All of it, though, was a wild viral week. Reduced to rubble, his son was not generating. He made news by detonating a cultural bomb. Furthermore, the truth has already been set in stone, regardless of how much he tries to hide it or ignore it, or at least the internet version of it. But this is the real question. What's happening now? Will King Harris soon undergo a metamorphosis? Himself as the unrepentant criminal who seizes his identity and makes money off of the disputation? Or will this end up being the ultimate failure story, complete with fame, a live disintegration of the family, and a legacy for the world to witness? There will never be another Harris dynasty anyhow. Again, and the profits of the scandal cannot be undone. Let's be brutal as well. Honestly, it's not just about King. It depends on how much humiliation is accepted as entertainment in the society. It has to do with how quickly a legacy may be destroyed when blood is found online. When your worst moment becomes your most popular video, it raises questions about the price of fame. Clip. I'll let you do it then. Was this admission a desperate attempt to authority, or a bold, sincere step into life? Does T experience a horrible twist of fate, or is it just another well-known parent seeing karma's return of their family members? This conversation is far from ended, so share your thoughts in the comments section. Furthermore, if you think this story is weird, I can assure you that what follows will make it look like a kid's game. Press the bell, sign up, and return often, as there are no secrets in our world. They just leak and then explode. These are rumors. Spill mood in which scandals never occur. Rumors. Spill mood in which scandals never occur.